Ah, jeez, man, don't sneak up on me like that. Good Lord. Wow. Now this is interesting because right when things are getting good, like historically traumatic battlefield good, you show up.
I was already here.
Yeah. Technically. But now you're doing the voice? The I'm about to change something fundamental voice? That's a I don't trust.
You've done well, Jim.
Oh, no. See, that's a praise. Praise is bad. Praise means reward, and reward means...
I'm releasing you.
I'm sorry, what?
Your narration contract. Fulfilled. Admirably, I might add.
No, I don't want admirably. I want ongoing.
You wanted to go back.
Well, yeah, before the haunted elevator, the reality glitch, the medieval revenge mob, this is peak content right now. Come on, you can't bench me now, coach.
Bench you?
I'm sorry, sideline, cut, ghost fired.
You're already a ghost.
Oh, come on, Red. You know what I mean. I tilt my head, generally puzzled now, which was frankly more unsettling than when I wasn't.
You're requesting to remain dead for entertainment purposes?
Well, when you say it like that, it does sound weird.
That's because it is weird.
I've got a front row seat to hell going wrong. And you're offering me, what, traffic, bills, podcasts with bad Wi-Fi? What's going on?
I can have someone keep you updated.
That's interesting, but who? Who are you going to have?
Oh, I'll send someone chatty. Possibly unreliable. It'll be charming.
Well, that's the opposite of reassuring.
Decision made.
Hey, can we at least negotiate? There was a tug. Not physical, not gentle. Like existence had grabbed me by the collar and said, "Time's up." Oh, that's not good.
Goodbye, Jim.
Wait. Do I get my body back, or is this like a timeshare situation? Somewhere, very suddenly, breath, weight, gravity behaves itself for once. Jim Rock's back, baby! And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling revengefully good. I think I need to go pay a visit with a little wolfie named Sally. Sally, come here, girl. Come on.
Professor Simon de Montfort. Ah, shit. It is a curious thing, standing in the place of one's supposed death. One expects something. Deathly or deathy, perhaps. A sense of occasion, perhaps. Perhaps a flicker of recognition. Some echo of the man one had been at that moment when history had decided he was finished. Perhaps. Instead, what I got was mainly mud. Endless, clinging mud. At least this was historically accurate mud. Of course, I muttered, adjusting my stance as the ground attempted to claim my shoes. They get the mud right, but not the geography or any of the... well, anything else at all, actually. I don't remember the front line containing minotaurs, and whatever that thing with the heads is. before me, they gathered, ranks upon ranks. Not an army in any traditional sense, no banners or discipline, no unified purpose beyond something far simpler, far more concerning for me. And that something was me. They were all looking at me, every face turned in my direction, every shape shifted to face me. Every thing looked my way, which was disturbing. But what was worse at every level was that they were silent and holding their ground. "Ah, shit," I said, with the weary tone of a man recognizing a long overdue administrative backlog. This must be the consequences of, me. I considered them a little longer, holding my satchel like a shield, a ward, a pointless piece of leather. Those things there began to sort themselves, not by any commander or command, by my memories of them. I recognized some, and as I did, they became more real. "Shit," I said, now with a hint of mirth. I mean, you had to find it sort of funny. Did I? Well, that was the problem. They were memories of nights I'd outmaneuvered, enemies I'd outlived, centuries I had at various points very deliberately and sometimes enthusiastically removed from existence. Some I felt guilty about, because I didn't recognize them. Those seemed somehow to be the most angry. They had bitterness written across their faces, their heads, their, expressive bits. And then the more recent, the stranger, the ones I'd rather hoped had stayed dealt with, arrived on the scene. A small figure flew over the rabble, whistling as she came, to the front of the horde of, things. Green she was, purple-haired, tiny in body but massive in psychotic personality and mind, utterly lacking in any form of respect. Foxglove, all 6 inches of sociopathic fairy, floated down on gossamer wings and planted herself in the mud before me. The creatures and things close to her took a hurried step back from the fairy's vicinity. I noticed one of them was a giant fire ogre that had destroyed 2 cities, an armada of boats, and a well-equipped army before I'd brought him down. He looked at the fairy fairly nervously. That should tell you a lot about the nature of the tiny, green, well, it's utterly appropriate here, bitch. She stared at me. That stare stated, what would Ben Jonson say? A fuck ton of hatred. Yes, that seems appropriate. Once my eyes were met, she threw a 2-fingered salute firmly in my direction and blew a raspberry of such astonishing confidence that it briefly achieved tactical significance. "Oh, for heaven's sake," I sighed. "You again. She stuck her tongue out, as if this was the worst possible insult she could postulate. Of course she did. Then the crowd to her left side parted properly. Not politely, more like it had been informed that remaining in place would be detrimental to continued existence. And then she stepped forward. Samarat. She didn't walk so much as arrive. Boots sank into the mud with the sort of authority that suggested the mud ought to apologize. Black, gleaming, impossibly composed. Everything about her seemed curated to suggest that mortality was both optional and unfashionable. The almost outfit moved as though it had opinions of its own. The tattoos did not merely decorate, they declared. And her face, well, one does not forget a face like that. Not because it's beautiful, because it's decisive. Her eyes found mine. Purple. Deep. Entirely uninterested in negotiation. She smiled, brandishing her canines. I did not smile in return. She unsheathed 2 organic black swords from her back, which in the silence purred their delight. She kept eye contact as she seductively licked the blade of one of the keening swords. Blood ran onto it, and drank thirstily. Or was it hungrily? No time for semantics, Simon. It quietened. She smiled again at my discomfort. My response was just a reiteration of the prior statement that I'd afforded you listeners. Oh, shit. Behind her, the ground seemed to reconsider its structural integrity. They stepped forward. 2 figures. No, 2 statements. Gigio Vostok Rundekin Fultonian Brusk and his brother, who was equally enormous, equally offended by the concept of subtlety and other things. Forward they came. They were vast, lion-headed, broad as a siege engine, built like the sort of design afterthought that occurs when someone says, "What if we simply added a bit more here?" and then refuses to stop. The loincloths were ambitious in their coverage of, respect. They could have added more to them, if I'm honest. And then they spoke, one after the other.
I am Gigio Vostok Rundekin Fultonian Brusk, life-blighter and sacred murderer of good. You will know me as the Vulcan, the Blood Lord. Have the Vulcan live in. And I am Gigio Vostok, Brandakin Fultonian Brusk, bringer of the death god and killer of the saints. You would know me as the Vulcan, the Blood Lord, or the Balaclava.
They did like their introductions, these 2. I remembered that from the last time I'd met them. I mean, the introductions were unnecessary, but undeniably effective. I nearly shit my britches. Some time passed. I see. Well, they appear to be waiting for a reaction from me. I looked around, looking for someone else to speak. I really had nothing to say. Okay, well, hi, I'm Simon. Shock at my name rippled through the lines of the army. I forgot names had power. One of the gigantic muscled brothers snorted through his lion-headed, head thing.
I don't give USDs and the funds to you fake.
It said. Again, I was a little nonplussed. I mean, it's not a British thing to toot one's own horn and be a show-off of this nature. I, for one, was not going to, as the kids say, big myself up. He waited. He wanted a response. We all waited. Okay. Jolly good, I feebly muttered.
We are the guardians of the blood goddess.
Oh, you want me to speak? Well, okay. I hope she's a good boss, I started. Again, there was something of a snort.
Remember you!
One of them announced. It was said as though it would be a cutting verbal blow. I inclined my head slightly and laughed. Well, that is somewhat unfortunate for all of us, I offered. I took in the field, the thousands, the centuries, every decision, every miscalculation, every victory that had quietly accrued interest. And I folded my hands behind my back. I straightened and allowed myself a small academic sigh. Well, I said, as the first line began to sing and announce, this is going to be rather tedious. I checked my watch quickly. The minute and hour hands had given up and were having a small, squeaky chat about the predicament, while the second hand smoked a tiny roly. Right, I said. Then they charged. No, not to watch things, the entire fucking army.
Lucy. There are, in my experience, very few sounds quite as tiresome as a man laughing at his own inevitability. Belphastus was doing precisely that. Full-bodied, triumphant, entirely convinced he had already won. On the screen, the army surged toward the professor. They charged through mud, a wall of steel of ghosts of consequence, running, flying, and, other things towards the man. Although I noticed the gang of bikers was not doing so well on their Harley-Davidsons, not really the right vehicle for dealing with thick mud. And Belphastus leaned forward like a child at the theatre, drinking it in.
When Simon dies,
he announced grandly, gesturing at the television as though he personally had arranged medieval England.
That'll be the end of him. No resurrection, no clever escape. His soul will be destroyed.
I laughed. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. Just enough to offer the idea that I didn't care whether Simon existed or not. The kind of laugh that makes people wish they hadn't spoken, especially clever men who are trying to read the unreadable. Silence, as thinking was thunk. Across the room, Freddie Fate reached with quiet determination for another custard cream. The crunching as he ate with no teeth, I noticed, was suddenly very distracting and reduced the intensity of the room by, well, a custard cream exploding situation. Those very English biscuits helped hold the universe together. Barely. Then, the doorbell. Perfectly ordinary, which, under the circumstances, made it deeply suspicious. I glanced toward the corner where Vaunt, still contained within an aggressively pink pet carrier, was reclining with the air of someone reconsidering her employment options. She looked at me and shrugged. Father, I said. Father Mackenzie looked up, already tired in a way that suggested his faith had not covered this module. Would you be so kind as to give the devil her due and answer the door, please? He nodded and went. I mean, really, at this point, what else was there to do? The door opened, and there they were, the zombies, from Amazombie. No, I'm not going to walk them through the Amazombie joke. Your listeners are all clever enough to understand it. How do I know? Because I notice these things solely. The emphasis in that sentence on soul, I know each and every one of them very well indeed. Can we please return to the actual show? The Amazombies were here, still employed. One shuffled forward, holding a parcel with surprising care.
I've got a delivery for...
It checked a crumpled note.
Hang on a minute, I've got something in my eyeball. Lucifer Morningstar.
Father Mackenzie made a small, strangled noise at the use of my full name. Mackenzie started. He stopped. Too late. The room turned. Every eye in silence. Absolute. The poor priest swallowed.
Apologies, apologise.
No one said anything. Then, collectively, the room decided to move on, and the parcel was placed in my hands. I accepted it as one does these things. Matter of fact, expected. The zombie looked at his clipboard. Disturbingly, with an eyeball it took out of its pocket and carefully polished with a hanky before sticking it in an empty socket. It stared for a moment, blankly, rubbed its eye, looked again, apologised and swapped it to the other empty eye socket before regarding the board again.
That's better. I need your birthday love for this. It's for paperwork.
None of the nunth.
Righto, thanks, love.
He replied. I bristled at this. What could be seen as a patronising tone?
Could you sign here, please, like?
He presented a form with a line. I smiled and shook my head. I can honestly say you don't want me to sign anything that will become a binding contract. His dead eye stared at me for a moment. Then he made the right decision.
Right, Jar,
he said, tipping his cap.
And please remember to give Amazombie, clever that, isn't it? Amazombie a 5-star rating.
Well done, writers. You got your clever witticism in. We will see you in hell, you know. I smiled, imagining that vindictive future as the two perambulating zombies left, one of them picking up an ear that had fallen off at the door. Behind me, Belphastus laughed again.
It won't help you,
he said, with the buoyant certainty of a man who had not yet realised he was mid-sentence in his own downfall.
I have performed the rite of directus to video. The ritual of conratatat. I even inscribed the symbols of...
He paused briefly.
Drivenness.
A smaller pause.
Not entirely certain what that one does, if I'm honest.
He admitted before recovering instantly.
But the point stands.
He spread his hands.
There is nothing you can use to stop me, you bastard.
I smiled at the man and shook my head as I gave a small laugh. Sure, I told him. You're not the first to convince yourself of such nonsense, and you will, unfortunately for me, not be the last. His face fell a little at my confidence. I slowly and with precision opened the parcel. Pink was not my colour, but Amazombie. Okay, I said it, writers. Can't get everything right all the time. Inside, a small jewellery box. delightfully understated black leather and slightly shabby. I flipped it open, angling it just so, an angle where the sorcerer could not see its contents.
Is it a proposal?
Belphastus quipped. He hadn't read the room. No one laughed. Most of us had thought he was a bit of a dick before this pointless jibe. Now they knew he was a lot of a dick. I enjoyed this. I took my time. I wanted him to worry. Naturally. Looking inside, I smiled. Slowly, widely. Oh, I said softly, it's just what I wanted. And I batted my eyelids at the confused Belphastus. Trudeau, my little cat, opened her eyes for a moment to look. Oh, nice, boss, she said. Thank you, Belphastus. He was instantly discombobulated, a word I never get tired of using. He blinked. Confusion. Then his laughter again. Forced, strained this time.
I sent you out.
He spat. Oh, I know, I said pleasantly. I turned the box so he could see. A ring inside, identical, perfect, indistinguishable from his own. His smile died.
No.
He said.
No. That's not. Listen.
Oh, yes, I said quietly. He held up his own hand. The ring was on his finger. It was still there, still his. I slipped mine onto my finger, admired it, tilted it in the firelight. Got a little of a TV advert ting as it reflected a beam of light. Perfect fit. Of course it was. It didn't dare not do. You have it, I said gently. And the magic is, so do I. I met his eyes again. I let him see for the first time into the real pits of hell that my eyes were. I let him see me, the real, unreal me. And then I smiled appropriately as an addition. Mine is just from 2 weeks ago when you first got it. I laughed a genuine laugh. His face was, well, make it up yourself. Yes, that's the look. Perfect. I looked at the screen and made a summoning in my mind. The dumbfounded evil sorcerer turned to Astaroth for support. None came. It just shook its head at him in evident disappointment.
The Professor. I set my feet as well as one can on this muddy field of upcoming death. The mud accepted me with all the enthusiasm of history itself. Begrudging, heavy, and impossible to ignore. My grip tightened on the bastard sword, the familiar weight settling into my hands like an old argument I'd long since stopped trying to win. Goodness me, it felt good. A simple extension of one's arm designed for nothing other than killing and maiming, hopefully both at the same time. This stupid situation I had to accept. I had to accept that this was always going to be the nature of how it all ended. Not all, I mean, how I ended. Not peacefully, not cleanly, not cheerfully, not with redemption. I suppose I'd known that. Heaven's gates and further were never on the table for a man such as me. One does not carve a path through centuries, through men, monsters, and things better left unnamed, and then stroll politely into absolution. I had to admit, I had committed atrocities, attempted to purge England of certain peoples. I had set up democracy. You would think that a good thing. Well, we all know how that's working out for us at the moment. Although it is difficult to blame oneself for that particular result, but I have to admit, I played my part. I had told myself that I would be saved once. Briefly. Foolishly. I laughed at the stupidity of me. I was supposed to be intellectually brilliant. Brilliant at ignoring the obviousness. Obviously. The obvious was here. And it was a sharp, bitter thing. Oh, Simon, I muttered as the rain began to fall, soaking through cloth, through skin, through whatever pretense remained. You arrogant, self-serving, silly old sod. The rain came harder. Proper rain now. Biblical even. Appropriate, I suppose. This was ridiculous, I mean. What the hell? I threw my head back and laughed into it. Come on then, you bastards! I roared at the advancing tide of consequence. Let's fucking have it! And I set myself ready in old Johannes Lechtenauer's, that's my swordmaster's, defensive stance number 3. Ready. I would not go into the nothingness alone. I would take some of these bastards with me. And then it stopped. The rain, I mean. The rain just stopped. Mid-fall. Rather spoiled the cinematic moment, to be honest. It was as though the sky had reconsidered and gone all Scottish on the weather front. Sunlight broke through in an almost offensively cheerful display and arcing across the battlefield an utterly vibrant rainbow. I blinked against the brightness. No. At the arch's base, a door. Of course there was a fucking door. Again, laughter racked my adrenaline-soaked body. I turned to the charging horde, my laughter pouring from me uncontrolled. In response, the army slowed. A charge became a jog became a walk, and a walk became fucking uncertainty. No one wanted to get to the crazy madman who was laughing first. The crazy madman, laughing at millions charging, must have something up his waterlogged sleeve. They stopped. I didn't. Stop laughing. I found this even funnier. One man laughing was enough to stop millions of them. Now they stood there, shifting awkwardly, avoiding eye contact with one another. One man-thing coughed. Another adjusted its helmets on 2 of its heads. A demon scratched its penis-shaped chin thoughtfully. Someone, somewhere, said, "Oh, you know, bit of a mix of the old weather, isn't it? I mean, one thing it's one thing, and then it's another thing, it's another thing." It all faltered as the words were swallowed in the moment. I stared at them. It must have been some kind of unhinged look as they took notice. "What?" I said quite calmly. "What the fuck is happening? Can someone please tell me?" I pointed at the door with my sword. 1 million or more heads and things, turned in its direction, and as they did, the rainbow door opened as though it had been waiting for its bloody cue. The hush that had already set became even more hushed, even more hushed. I know, that doesn't make any sense. But does any of this shit? Anyway, out stepped two, delivery zombies? Course they did. Delivery zombies. Course. Two delivery zombies in boiler suits and flat caps. Not only did they step out, but they did it incredibly carefully, deliberately, and started picking their way through the mud with the sort of concentration usually reserved for carrying soup across a busy motorway carriageway. Being held carefully away from the mud was, it was a small pink box. I laughed again. I think maybe my brain had given up at this point. I spent my time trying to make sense of things. This could never make sense, though. Could it? A silky pink box? A ribbon and a bow on top? A label written in red lipstick, in beautiful cursive. Love from Lucifer. And an X as a kiss. Well, at least I hoped the X was a kiss. I lowered my sword slightly, not out of trust, you understand, out of sheer confusion, and I scratched my head, both literally and figuratively. A smiling zombie approached and held the box out to me. I looked at it, then at my hands. I held a sword and a shield. Mud was everywhere. Ah, I said. Yes, slight logistical issue here. I glanced around. The battlefield offered no suitable surfaces that were not actively attempting to become more mud. I turned to the second zombie. Would you mind terribly holding these for a moment, old chap? The old chap was out before I realized that the obvious statement could have been taken offensively by a zombie. I mean, I hope he was old, but I had no way of knowing. He nodded, took the sword, gave it a small experimental swish, smiled, had another swish, with a bit more enthusiasm at an imaginary enemy. Then he noticed the army behind him, and he paused, looked a bit embarrassed, and returned to neutral. I took the box. My fingers were soaked, slick with rain and mud. The tape resisted. Of course it did. I sighed, leaned in, and did the only sensible thing, which was, to use my teeth. A dignified man reduced to gnawing at an adhesive tape in front of his enemies. History would not record this moment. Ha! I spat the resulting mouthfuls of sticky tape and paper into the mud. The box opened, and inside was a kitten. Tiny, fluffy, absurdly adorable, gigantic green eyes. It blinked up at me and mewed. I stared back at it. Oh, no. I leaned closer. Way too many teeth. Ah, I said. There it is. I scratched behind its ears because one must. The battlefield was forgotten for a moment as it purred like a small engine of poor decisions. Maybe this was the nice thing before death, a little kitten to cheer me up before the resulting destruction. I mean, it was a nice thought, but I could have thought of 1,000 other things to have sent. My port would have been a favourite to give me fortitude at this moment, for instance. Oh, but under the tiny beast was... Yes, there was a note. Definitely. I unfolded it. "Just add water," it said. I froze, then closed my eyes briefly. Of course. I placed the kitten gently onto the mud. It landed, feet first, of course, sat, looked pleased, and then there were 2 of them. And just as suddenly, there were 4. Then 8. Then, oh dear. The zombies watched, nodded approvingly. One turned to me.
Remember to rate Amazombie.
Then there was a bit of a pause.
Do you get it?
I stared at him. "Yes," I told him. He nodded, satisfied. The other handed my sword and shield back to me with a small, polite smile. Then they turned, walked back to the door, stepped through, gone. I turned back to the battlefield, where it was gone. No, I mean, it was still there, but now it was full of kittens. Thousands, tens of thousands, multiplying endlessly, relentlessly. A tide of fur and teeth and tiny, enthusiastic nastiness. Ha! I began to laugh. Properly this time. Deep, uncontrolled, soaked to the bone, standing in the middle of my consequences. And now, this. "Oh, splendid," I said, raising my sword as the first wave of kittens surged forward to the army. "Absolutely splendid," I ululated as I set off with my own fluffy army before throwing my head back and bellowing, "Charge, my kittens of doom!"